Welcome back to Music Theory for Worship. I'm Dan Reed, here with Billy Bob Jean Highface. Today we're going to be talking about harmonizing a melody.
The truth is, all notes were not created equal, all chords were not created equal, and some chords go better with some notes than other
That's the truth.
chords do. So, what we're going to try to do all in one 10-minute session here is talk about it from two different directions. First of all, you get a great chord progression that you feel good about. What kind of melody can you write that works with that? Secondly, I get a great melody in my head. What chords would fit with that? So let's start by talking about the scale and what chords are best with what notes.
Acceptable to harmonize with, if you will.
We got this here scale. 7 scale degrees. And
8 if you want to count.
if we use the primary chords, just 1, 4, and 5, that's all we're going to use right now. 1, 4, and 5. What could harmonize with a tonic?
You either have
Scale degree 1.
a tonic chord, 1 chord, or a 4 chord.
Possibly a 4. Okay. How about a 2 second scale degree?
2, you just have a 5 chord.
That's all that'll work with the primary chords. How about 3?
3, you just have a 1 chord.
Is it 1? 4?
4, you have
A 4?
4.
4. 5?
You have a 5 or a 1.
A 1. 6?
4,
7?
5,
And back to
1, or 4. These are just your basic triad chords, of course.
Yeah, so if we use those 3 primary chords, notice this. The tonic can be harmonized by 2 chords. The dominant can be harmonized by 2 chords. Everything else really only works with 1 chord. I wonder if that's why they call it tonic and dominant. Because they can be used the most, you know, with different chord options, both of which are strong.
Strong chords.
Okay, so I come up with this chord progression. Let's start that way. Let's say I'm in the key of E and I do 1, 5, 6, 4.
Sounds strangely familiar.
Yeah, like somebody else has thought of this chord progression
Yeah.
before, I believe.
So I don't
but
think that's
nonetheless.
original.
Okay, but it feels good.
Feels good.
And now I want to write a melody. Okay?
Alright.
Now, this chord loop starts on a tonic chord. Tonic chord 1, 3, 5. All right, 1, 3, 5. So I can start my melody with a 1 or a 3 or a 5. Those would be the strongest notes to start my melody. Start with a 5.
I have a good song in mind. Here, just go with me. I'm gonna make up the lyrics. You live, you died, you said in 3 days you would rise.
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's really good.
It's kind of profound.
All the earth will sing your praises.
I like it.
All right, so that's really
I will
good.
not be silent.
Ooh, that's
no.
good. Yeah.
I will not be quiet anymore.
So I kind of specialize with starting on 5, and
Yeah.
then I work my way down to 3 by the
good.
time I'm done with that little melody. Eventually, I work my way down to 1. If I really just summarize the whole thing, I'd say that was my melody. That tends to be the more exclamatory praise, praise songs that start with 5. Most of the worship songs, the quiet worship songs, Paul Baloche says 75% of them start with scale degree 3.
3.
That tends to be your quieter song. So that's another possibility. In that case, if we were to summarize that melody, we'd say it's basically 3 blind mice.
3 blind mice.
3 blind mice.
See how they run.
3 blind mice.
Oh, run, little mice, run, you little mice.
3 blind mice.
Don't chase the farmer's wife, you little mice.
Watch out for that farmer's wife.
She's got a knife.
Well, that was a pretty nice little praise song. Now, it is also possible to create a melody that starts on 1, but you don't have a lot of room to go, so it's a little hard to find tunes that start exactly with one. You might have like a pickup, or there are a whole lot of songs that do that. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. There's one that started with one. Okay.
Or sing to the King who is coming to reign. Like that.
Okay, all right. So in that case, quite often what you do from the one is you go below it, or maybe start below it, and then you go above it and you come back to it.
Truly, the challenge with starting on the first scale degree is that you need somewhere to go because you're already there. You have to go away from tonic in order to come back to it.
For the most part then, for the rest of your melody, what you want to do is find out what the notes are in the chord progression that you found. If it's a 1, 5, 6, 4, you find out what the pitches are in that. Rather than just going by ear, you can just write by ear, but then you can aim for, oh, there's that 6th chord, I've got a C sharp, E, and a G, so when I get there, I want to be hitting one of those notes. Well, that's how to write a melody to a chord progression that you already have in mind. What if it was the other way around? What if you were creating a melody, you got this song in your head, and you're wondering what chords would work? Well, you can do like most of us do and just kind of experiment, but because you've had music theory for worship, you could be a lot more intelligent about the chords that you choose because you know right away, well, what I'm looking for is, well, let's see, scale degree 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of those could work with a primary chord. Maybe one of those minor chords, a 2, 3, or a 6, could be thrown in. But for the most part, I'm looking for a chord loop. And you probably have some sort of chord loop in your head. You just have to find it there.
There are only so many combinations of the diatonic scale that you can put together and still be cognitive and recognizable for a melody.
Let's use When I Survey as an example. That stayed the same because the pitch stayed the same. As my pitch moved, the chord moved. And then it just kept... That's hymn style, is you have a different chord for each note. But for the most part, when we're writing, we sort of reduce that and say, maybe we don't have to be so complete, so complex, especially when you're playing guitar. You don't want to be changing chords every beat. When I survey the wondrous cross. All right, and you know this, the wondrous cross, this is what he does. He reduces it so far that there's no chord progression at all, and yet the melody itself kind of follows the outline of tonic chord to begin with. Most of the time when you're writing a song, you want something in between. So as you experiment, as you try to find a good chord progression for your melody notes, look for chords that mostly make up the notes that are the strong notes on the strong beats of your melody.
As you look to develop and kind of find more creative ways, you can also look into suspensions and retardations, different things like this.
It's good. That was good, really.
That you can play a chord that resolves to that chord. So your melody can resolve to that chord, and that'll add some flavor and some interest that you might be looking for.
So by all means, trust your musical instincts, but
certainly
your training in theory can help you to shortcut your time of looking for that right chord or of looking for that right melody note, because you can match them up.